After escaping questioning by reporters, at 2 a.m. in 1964, 17-year-old Randy was finally able to close his eyes. He had not slept for 11 consecutive days. At first, he just hoped to make a name for himself at the 10th San Diego Science Fair, challenging the unknown record of 260 hours at the time. But this experiment caught the attention of local journalists and attracted sleep research pioneer William DeMont from Stanford University. DeMont drove to San Diego to monitor Randy's health with Navy Igor Ross. On the third day, Randy's senses began to betray him, and he couldn't recognize objects through touch. Subsequently, the dam of memory began to collapse, and cognitive abilities rapidly declined. Furthermore, the boundaries of reality completely froze, and he experienced hallucinations. He saw the walls breathing and heard non-existent sounds. To help Randy stay alert, DeWinter accompanied him to play basketball and team games. Interestingly, even on the 10th day, Randy still won every time on the pinball table. But on the 11th day, when he requested to subtract 70 from 100 tracks, but suddenly stopped at 65. He came to his senses and completely forgot what he was doing. This usually gentle young man also became irritable and prone to anger, throwing a tantrum at the reporter. 264 hours later, Randy was taken to the Navy hospital and, under the monitoring of an electroencephalograph, fell into a deep sleep for 14 hours. Subsequent inspections did not find any abnormalities, but Randy's record was broken in the same year. Nowadays, the recorded maximum time has reached only 19 days. But ultimately, no one can break the bottom line that humans must sleep. Later, these sleep deprivation experiments were no longer collectively conducted and included due to their extreme danger. But human exploration of this mysterious field was actually just beginning. Turning back time by 10 years in the basement of the University of Chicago, 30-year-old graduate student Asadinsky was staring at slowly unfolding EEG tapes. He had electrodes attached to the scalp and around the eyes of his 8-year-old son, Amond, attempting to record brainwaves during sleep. After midnight, the record became more intense than suddenly. Moving Asadinsky's son was still sound asleep due to a malfunction in the instrument, but upon closer inspection, he gently opened the child's eyelids, only to find that the child's eyes were rapidly rotating, like looking around when awake. Rapid eye movement sleep was discovered in this way, proving that sleep is not a shutdown of the brain. At this stage, the brain becomes active as if it were awake and filled with crazy dreams. But why was this so obvious phenomenon not made public until 1953? Barkalinsky's mentor Kleitman is also not very interesting because they have never done continuous recording all night before. And in order to save expensive recording values, they only recorded a few minutes every 2 to 3 hours during the first hour of sleep. And the rapid movement only arrives about 90 minutes after falling asleep. Although it appears periodically 4 to 5 times a night, each time it only lasts for 20 to 30 minutes. So previously, researchers recorded relatively calm sleep before this. Light sleep and slow-wave sleep. After realizing that sleep was very quiet before, new problems arise. Since the brain is so active in dreams, why don't we actually jump out of bed? French scientist Juvat found the answer in cats. After the bridge brain that controls muscle tension in the brainstem of cats is covered, these cats will suddenly stand up during rapid movement, sleep chasing invisible prey, and adopting attacking and defensive postures, just like hunting in a dream. This means that every night, our brains are giving orders in the virtual world of dreams just to protect us. He thoughtfully cut off the straight switch of his body. When scientists were attracted by the mechanism of rapid motion sleep, seemingly mundane slow-wave sleep also received a highlight in the early 21st century. In 2007, German scientist Johann Berndt allowed his subjects to learn word matching while smelling the fragrance of roses. That night, as they entered a leisurely sleep, they quietly released the same scent. As a result, the memory scores of these participants who fell asleep after smelling the fragrance far exceeded the next day. Other people's brains also show that familiar scents can trigger the hippocampus, allowing them to replay daytime learning content while sleeping, thereby forging fragile short-term memories into stable long-term memories. Subsequently, in 2013, Ned Gade from the University of Rochester in the United States discovered another function of his brain: wakefulness. When mice enter mambo sleep, brain cells shrink and intercellular gaps expand by about 60%. At this time, cerebrospinal fluid rushes into these gaps like a tide, washing away the accumulated metabolic waste during the day, including waste amyloid protein associated with dementia. The cleaning mechanism known as the lymphatic system also explains the dizziness and bloating caused by sleep deprivation. In addition, mambo sleep also plays a role in optimizing the brain. In 2017, the team of Italian neuroscientists Toloni and Cirelli spent 4 years reconstructing and measuring thousands of protrusions. They found that after just a few hours of sleep, the protruding volume of the mouse cerebral cortex decreased by an average of about 18%. This validates their synaptic homeostasis hypothesis proposed in 2003. During daytime learning and experiences, our brain's neural synapses constantly strengthen and increase. If left uncontrolled, it can deplete our brain's energy and space. The function of sleep is to globally and proportionally weaken and streamline all synapses without affecting memory storage, freeing up space for receiving new information the next day. As the observation of dreams deepens, the idea of interacting with the dreams themselves is also brought to the forefront. In 2013, a team of Japanese scientists specializing in alcoholic beverages were the first to achieve the dreamlike effect. They had volunteers fall asleep in an MRI scanner, repeatedly waking them up and asking about their dream content. Using machine learning algorithms to analyze the activity patterns of the visual cortex, the computer learned to recognize categories of objects, such as people and buildings, that appeared in dreams. Although they are still unable to reconstruct the complete picture of the dream is beginning to be objectively seen. In 2014, Ursula Watts and others entered the world of dreams through electric currents. They found that when low gamma-wave alternating current is applied during rapid eye movement sleep, more than half of them enter a lucid dream state. They suddenly developed self-awareness in their dreams, knowing that they were dreaming, and were able to control the direction of their dreams in a limited way, like in Inception. And the latest breakthrough went even further. In 2021, scientists achieved real-time conversations with lucid dreamers. Researchers present simple mathematical problems, such as 8-to-6 warnings, to the dreamer through sound or light, while the dreamer answers the questions in the dream through a pre-agreed eye movement pattern. Among the 36 participants, there were 29 successful communication records. Although the overall accuracy rate is not high, Dream Zizzy is no longer a private motherboard. It is beginning to become a conversational experience. We once regarded sleep as a pause in life, a phantom of dreams being disrupted. Now we know that the dark territory that occupies 1/3 of our lives is not nothingness, where rational surveillance is temporarily withdrawn. Neurons, however, are rearranging their circuits to highlight the tidal redistribution of waste in cerebrospinal fluid, while dreams build safe theaters for us to rehearse emotions, repair memories, and lack creativity. Perhaps we must give up consciousness every day, dissolve ourselves, sink into that chaotic darkness, in order to reassemble a fully functional and clear self the next morning.